Greetings, everyone. I am going to talk about change or changes. And when I talk about changes, personal, financial, spiritual, it encompasses this whole body, mind, and spirit conversation. And I just want to say that change is good. A lot of us resist change. A lot of us don't want to change because it requires work. But sometimes our experience in life, especially traumatic experiences, forces that change. And sometimes the universe allow certain things to happen in your life to produce that change. And so sometimes you go through years of hardship. And one of the reasons for that is because you had people around you that needed to be flushed out. You had people in your personal space that need to be unmasked. And so you do not get your blessing, because if you got the blessing during that period, you'd be sharing it with people who did not deserve it. And so you go through these experiences where they're unmasked. You go through this experience where people show you their true colors. And then after you go through that period of mourning and going through the different stages of mourning, you get to the point where you're stronger. I'm speaking from my own experience. And so these experiences now force me to change the way I look at the worldview, the way I look at spiritual things, the way I look at financial decisions that I make. And it's a good thing. Now, in the past, I would think of building wealth for my children and their children. And while that is important, I am no longer interested in just going out and just building for my children and their children. What I do now is teach them how to do it. So you might set an example by doing some, but at the end of the day, you teach them to do for themselves and their own children in the future. One of the things I'm going to also say is I don't believe in working hard and achieving success in my life and not enjoy that and leave it for other people. I will not. So I will do the things that make me happy, because I find when you're going through these hardships, you have to look back at those great times, and it's what you're going to use to carry you through those periods of hardship. So I remember, and I don't know if I've shared this before, but I remember being in a situation where I was so drained emotionally, and I was under so much stress, physical and financial. And I remember one night I felt, and I think I told you guys this before, but if you're new to the channel, I felt like something running from the front of my head to the back, going back and forth, and spirit comes in and tells me to go into the shower and just run the shower in my head, and it stopped. I later found out that was just stress, and that mental stress is very dangerous, because it was my brain just doing this, like warning me, going back and forth like half of my head before I really heard spirit say, get in the shower, run that water in your head, and it really calmed it. There was a lot of worry, a lot of concerns about the future, and eventually those things catch up with you. So I'm going to warn you to say, if there's something happening in your life that you are not in a position to fix right now, let it go. If it's bad, it's already bad. And if it didn't happen yet, stop worrying about what didn't happen, okay? And stop investing your time in other persons and spend time doing what makes you happy. Stop loving other persons when you don't love yourself, because clearly that is not real love. If you are giving of yourself 100 to somebody and depleting yourself, that is not love. And so you have to change. And you're going to be forced to change, because if you don't start loving yourself, you're going to be, attracting all kinds of people to you. In the past, I used to feel like it was such an honor. I'd be on the train, I'd be in the supermarket, I'd be somewhere, and someone would just come and download their problems on me, and I would absorb it. And I thought it was such a good thing, but it's not. There was something about my aura, something about my energy that brought these persons to me. I was a broken person. And so, like minds attract. And when we talk about the spiritual and talk about energy, we attract these things to us. It's not a good thing. Doesn't mean that you can't be there for other persons. Doesn't mean that you can't listen. Doesn't mean that people will not know you to be a kind or sympathetic or empathetic person and share their stories with you and you help them. But there's a time and a place for that. So if you go on a train and this woman or man sits there long before you came on the train, quiet, and as you sit beside them, they start downloading, you go home and cleanse your body. Wash yourself off with some sea salt and some lemon. That is not a compliment, because the person just felt your energy, and the low vibration that you're exhibiting or exuding tells that other spirit that, and sometimes it's a bad spirit that wants to latch on to somebody. That person wants to get rid of that energy. And so when it senses that you are operating on that low frequency, it's going to drop it off on you. And good luck to you trying to dump it on somebody else, because some people vibration is high and they will not allow anybody to destroy them. So in the past, when you had your problems and you were sharing with somebody and they said they had to go, you felt offended, but they were just protecting themselves. That was not a bad thing. When it comes to financial decisions that I make now, it's so different from decisions that I would make in the past. I would do things thinking, well, someone would like this, or maybe this is a good decision or whatever. But guess what? Now I make decision that is best for me, that makes sense for me down the future or down the road. I gotta cut this short because my daughter is calling. And yeah, that's the only person I have time. I make time for my daughter, or my children for that matter. Still less.